Legend tells that many years ago, the city of Syracuse was hunger-stricken due to a long famine. Miraculously, on the 13th of December, a ship arrived carrying tons of wheat. It was St. Lucy's Day, and the starving people of Syracuse threw themselves on the wheat and cooked it whole without grinding it first. From then on, St. Lucy became the patron saint of Syracuse, and the people of Syracuse, in remembrance of that miracle, celebrate it every December 13th, eating wheat grains as a sign of veneration. Once upon a time, the feast of St. Lucy started at 5 in the morning. The shoemaker of Castelbuono tells us, while Anantascalanza says that St. Lucy is one of the most respected saints in Sicily. It's a feast for everyone, a feast of fireworks, food, and merriment. The beautiful saint statue, loaded with gold and silver, holds in her hand an ear of wheat as a symbol of that miracle. A knife is stuck in her neck as a symbol of her martyrdom. People applaud loudly while the strongest men in Syracuse carry her on their shoulders around the city, and at times some will shout, "Viva St. Lucy!" On the day of St. Lucy, we eat lots and lots of things, but since all Sicilians have a very sweet tooth, the main dish is a sweet called cuccia.
Che si fanno per Santa Lucia è la famosa cuccia.
So the cuccia was distributed in the morning, then we went to Mass, and at 6 p.m. we went to the Vespers. It came as a conclusion of the day. The main thing is that cuccia is not ground wheat. So first, you have to soak it in water before eating. You need 3 entire days to prepare the cuccia. This is how Juicy makes it. She changes the water every day. When it is properly soaked with water, you finally cook it. Then, you season it, adding at first the ricotta cream, made out with fresh sheep ricotta and sugar, candied squash, and eventually, chocolate bits. You can also prepare it boiling the wheat seeds in milk and adding cacao powder, chocolate bits, and again, candied squash. This is how we make cuccia. Amazingly, in Syracuse, the people had forgotten how to make cuccia. The pastry chef Artale restarted the tradition, while Vincenzina tells us that this white cream is like the white of the eyes, and the chickpea is the pupil. In Syracuse, on December 13th, for St. Lucy's Day, pastry chef Artale will prepare the cuccia, following the tradition from Palermo, and he will offer it to everyone. He cooks the wheat whole grain and mixes it together with chocolate, candied orange, ricotta cream, and a pinch of vanilla. At Castelbuono, the beautiful and very ancient city on the Madonia Mountains, the feast of St. Lucy is an important moment. It is celebrated twice a year, in December and September. On both occasions, you eat cuccia. Nowadays, many people still prefer the traditional way of making cuccia, that was eaten often by the poor people and peasants of the region. They made cuccia with boiled wheat, simply seasoned with olive oil, salt, and a few chickpeas. For those with a sweet tooth, the cuccia can be sweetened and seasoned with blancmange, an almond pudding of medieval origins, flavored with lemon zest, cinnamon, and chocolate flakes. Also in Palermo, there is the tradition that a mysterious boat arrived in the port, full of grain, saving the town from hunger. In Sicily, the legend was repeated as often as the beads in the rosary to soothe the peasants' worries of hunger and famine. Giusy tells us how she prepares the arancine for the feast. Those filled with chocolate are the most special. There are many ways to make the stuffing for the arancine. You could use spinach, cheese, ham, mushrooms, and chocolate. But traditionally, the arancine are filled with minced meat.
Questo deve cucinare in ebollizione, si deve mescolare di continuo, perché altrimenti
And first of all, you have to make a nice saffron risotto, mixing it continuously until it dries up. The stirring is important, otherwise you may risk burning it. When it is of the right consistency, that is, when it is quite firm, you leave it to rest until the next day. It is a job that requires lots of patience, but at this moment, I would say we have nearly all the ingredients we need to prepare the arancine. The second step will be making the ragu, sautéing finely chopped onions until golden. Then you add the minced meat, the peas, some tomato sauce, and a tablespoon of estrato. This instead is a seasoning of the buttered arancine, made with bechamel, ham, butter, cheese, salt, and pepper. Now that all the ingredients are ready, you can start preparing the arancine, filling them with the ragu. Once the arancine are made, you put them in a batter of water and flour, which has to have the right consistency of a loose bechamel. This way they look nice and firm, so you can finally put them into breadcrumbs and deep fry them in olive oil at a very high temperature. Fish, meat, vegetables, potatoes. For St. Lucie, you can eat everything except pasta. Luckily, the market offers all sorts of things in December and a few delicious delicacies, like swordfish and sardines, which all Sicilians love. In Palermo, the kitchens of the pastry shops are always very busy. You have people running back and forth to create the fried foods and sweets for the students. For St. Lucia, the requests for sweet pannelle and arancine and supplì always exceed expectations. Everyone takes advantage of the sweet pannelle because they were prepared only once a year, on December 13th, for the feast day of St. Lucie. Sweet pannelle are not something you would cook at home. Only certain pastry shops sell them in Palermo, and not many of them. Sweet pannelle have nothing in common with the salted ones. They are not made with chickpea flour, but with all-purpose flour, and they are stuffed with yellow cream or chocolate cream. Giuseppe shows us the ingredients he uses: eggs, flour, water, and butter, which are mostly the same ingredients we use for pâte à choux. The dough Giuseppe obtains is very elastic and consistent. Giuseppe kneads the dough with a machine, and rolls it out very gently by hand. Then he cuts it into rounds and square pieces so he can separate the cream-filled sweets from the chocolate ones. Like a painter, he sweeps the dough with beaten eggs, puts the chocolate and vanilla cream, and then he covers it with the side of the dough. The pannelle are now ready to be deep fried in oil, then powdered with sugar and cinnamon. No, definitely, no one could ever possibly starve in Sicily on St. Lucy's Day. Lucy is also invoked as a saint protector of sight and eyes. Modica is a city still rich in culinary tradition and with strong traditions of religious devotion. Here, we can still find one of the last artisans who can cast manually the chocolate molds. And in the caves where the people of Modica once lived, we can still find clear signs of popular veneration and heartfelt superstitions. In honor of St. Lucy, the women of Modica thank the saint for her divine intervention by preparing the cucidati, small pieces of flour kneaded with water with no salt or yeast. These little fragments of bread will be blessed in church by priests and then brushed over the eyelids and eaten, or kept as a sign of veneration. Votive breads were very popular in the eastern part of Sicily until a few decades ago. They often had the shape of the eyes and were blessed and distributed for St. Lucy's Day. In Syracuse, the baker Garofalo has started again with the tradition. On the 13th of December, he bakes some delicious breads, very simply made out of flour, water, and a tiny little bit of yeast, just to help the dough keep the shape. The Garofalos offer St. Lucy's bread to the local church so that everybody can have one. In Bel Paso, a small village surrounded by the Etna's lava, there's a big feast for St. Lucy's Day. It lasts 2 days, and during the night feasts after the procession, small bancarelle offer you street food stopovers. Those are fritters named crespelle, made with ricotta and anchovy. Besides the crespelle, you will find stands that carry nougats with almonds, pistachios, caglia e semenza, which means roasted chickpeas and salted squash seeds, for the joy of the children and the hungry grown-ups. The men, instead, have prepared mounting huge mechanical stage sets on farm tractors. These sets have very complicated devices activated from the inside. They open up slowly, accompanied by songs, music, and theater pieces that narrate Bible stories, and naturally, those of St. Lucy. These sets are truly amazing. They represent for us, and for St. Lucy's Day, a triumph of fantasy which reminds us of the great ethereal sets of the Baroque age.